Well, again, this is I believe, our third day of meeting, and it certainly appears now that the latest track from the National Hurricane Center, that Hurricane Matthew remains a very serious and dangerous threat to the citizens of the city of Charleston. As we have been saying all week, this is a triple threat. We're going to have significant rain, we will have potentially record-setting surge, and very, very dangerous winds. The time to leave the city is quickly coming to an end, and we expect weather conditions to begin to deteriorate this evening and worsen throughout the night. This will be a dangerous storm. If you have made the decision to stay, please prepare and take appropriate precautions. Please ensure that someone knows your plan and that they are responsible to check in on you after the storm has passed. And tonight, as conditions worsen, please remain inside and do not venture out, as this storm will create dangerous, very dangerous conditions. We expect a record-setting high tide around midnight tonight, and it will be no time to be out and about. There will be water everywhere.
In preparation, we have continued to make sure that we have resources deployed throughout the city. We have now completed the redeployment of our resources into the various areas that we have potential for significant damage. We have police, fire, public service, parks employees that will be stationed in different locations throughout our city starting this afternoon, so that they will be immediately available to respond after the storm passes. This will provide us with teams that will be able to do most things necessary, from law enforcement, security, fire and medical assistance, to clearing roadways that are blocked by trees or down power lines. We're also coordinating with our utility partners to make sure that they are prepared as well to get into the city so that repairs can begin immediately and power outages can be minimized. We're also redeploying our resources that were used for the lane reversals for the last few days. These officers are being directed to specific neighborhoods and business centers. They will be operating for 24 hours a day in these locations for high visibility, as well as to prevent any type of crime that could potentially impact these areas or the citizens that live there who have left, or those that are remaining in place. As Mark said, one of the really important things that we want to impress upon all of our community at this point is that the roadways are going to become very dangerous very quickly. Most of the businesses in the downtown area and outlying parts of the city have closed, and we thank them for that, because we don't want people coming into the areas when we're trying to secure them. Our officers do not need to be working on communicating with people about getting into safe locations when they should be making sure that we're doing our best to help those that have decided at the last minute to try to get to a shelter or some other type of enforcement or security situation. This is all about public safety. Everything that we're doing here is about public safety, and we want the community to understand that while we have been communicating extremely powerfully each day about evacuations, those people who are remaining in the city certainly need to understand, again, as we said yesterday, that as the height of the storm starts to arrive, they will not be able to get the normal response that they get when they dial 911. They're not going to get the 5-minute or 7-minute response during the height of the storm for several reasons. One, we have to protect our own first responders. When the storm passes, we're not going to be able to do anything for those people who are remaining here or for the security of the city if the first responders have been put into harm's way. So we have to protect them. Secondly, because of water, trees down, power lines down, we may not be able to get to them in a quick manner. So we're going to do everything we can to make you safe and secure and get to you for help as quickly as possible, and at the same time want you to understand that there is going to be delays. We're also, after collaboration with our partners at Charleston County, Mount Pleasant, and North Charleston, we are in agreement that there will be a curfew implemented in the city beginning at 12 midnight, and that will run through 6 a.m. in the morning. Again, that is specifically for public safety. As Mark said earlier, we'll have a record high tide at 1 o'clock, along with the rains and other things that we're expecting from the storm. So therefore, we do not want to have to deal with those individuals that may get themselves trapped out in this severe situation. So from 12 midnight until 6 a.m., there will be a curfew in the city of Charleston for all vehicle and pedestrian traffic. Our officers will be enforcing that. So we would ask for the community and the citizens to please work with us and cooperate and understand why that is being implemented. And the final thing I would say is this: we have gotten a lot of cooperation and a lot of really good information from individuals throughout the city via social media. They have been giving us information about various things in their neighborhoods, and that's been very helpful for us. We also want to caution that social media can also be very time-consuming and cause fear if it is used in a way that promotes rumors or promotes information that might not be clearly vetted. So if you or anyone on your social media networks have questions about any type of public safety question, we've gotten information that looting has started, and that is not correct. We've gotten information about whether or not break-ins have occurred in certain neighborhoods. We're happy to answer those questions, and what we would do is ask for you to call our information line and then help us quell any rumors that might be counterproductive. We're putting out a lot of information on a regular basis. We really like for you to push that out to your networks. If you have questions, though, about issues that could cause panic or could cause anxiety for others, please call us so that we can help you have the correct information when you help us to push that information out. It's all about public safety for the next 24 hours, possibly longer, depending upon the impacts. So please continue to help us, stand side by side with us, and thank you again for the media and your efforts to get this information, very important information, out to the community members.
Well, thank you, Chief, and once again, I just want to give my overall thanks and admiration to our emergency operations staff and our first responders. They're really a remarkable team who have readied us for this dangerous storm, Matthew. So, as Mark mentioned, we've been meeting with you here for a few days in a row, and I mentioned this earlier today that I had that song of Carly Simon's kind of ringing in the back of my head, Anticipation, you know, and we're just about there. We just have a few hours to go, and there's still time for evacuation, but it is now time to get on out or to get ready for this storm. It's time for us to hunker down and ride out of the storm. And as of midnight tonight, we're going to somewhat insist that if you're not gone, that you stay put and stay safe from midnight till 6 in the morning, and then of course beyond. We want you to be safe. We are not afraid. We have faith. We do pray for God's protection of our city and our citizens, and we ask for everyone to join us to pray not just for us, but for everyone who has been impacted by the storm. We are not afraid because we have faith, but also because of our preparedness and our preparations. We are not afraid because of our remarkable first responders and the response team, not just of the city of Charleston, but first responders and emergency operations personnel, everyone. We do ask everyone to get ready, to be alert, to be safe, and God bless. And we'll open the floor for any questions at this time. Yes, sir.
Hey, it's Robert O'Brien from News 2 with a question for Chief Mullen.
Yes, sir.
So, over on James Island this morning, over there in the Harbor View subdivision, apparently there's a couple of guys jumping fences and kicking in doors in the back. And the neighbors I talked with are grateful to see such a large police presence out there. But do you want to take an opportunity to tell people that are thinking about doing that or that are doing that to stop want to talk about
Well,
what happened over in Harbor View, or do you want us to call that number to find out?
Well, what I can tell you right now is that we have officers in a lot of neighborhoods, and we're going around and we're talking to people. We have crime in the communities every day, and whether we had 1 or 2 crimes in Harborview or any other place in the City of Charleston Police Department is going to respond to that just like we would any other time, and we're going to take the appropriate action to deal with that individual. Now, I would certainly hope that people that have that in mind would not go out and do it, especially at this time. But I don't think that me telling them not to go out and do that would be the answer. So the answer is going to be that we put more officers out there, we talk to the community, and we ask them if they see anything that they think is suspicious, that they go ahead and call the police so that we can respond appropriately and try to address that before anything negative happens.
And I'll reiterate that we have all these info hotlines and all, but if there is a real emergency of any kind, to continue to dial 911. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am?
I may have missed it, but did we talk about potential surge? Like how high the surge might get? Has that changed?
My understanding is the prediction for water surge, storm surge, could be from 4 to 8 feet. In addition, we happen to have high tides at about 1 o'clock in the morning and at 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Now, understand this is compounded by the fact that when the storm surge comes in and it's high tide, we also are expecting approximately a foot of rain. And so when that water comes down and the tide and the surge are in, that foot of rain has nowhere to go. And that's what Mark refers to as that triple threat of water inundation, which will cause some flooding.
Are there any National Guardsmen here yet?
We've actually gotten some National Guard assets on standby, but inside the city, as of this moment, no.
So is Charleston Police Department inside the city?
Charleston Police Department, along with representatives, well, actually members from every other department within the city.
Can you talk a little bit about the hospitals? Or have there been evacuations from other hospitals into hospitals here?
There has been evacuation from the Veterans Administration Hospital, the VA hospital. They've now relocated all their patients over to Medical University. I believe that's the only hospital
There's been
that's
some
closed.
movement, and I don't have the specifics. The hospitals have done some adjusting, but all the hospitals remain open with the exception of the Veterans Administration.
Yes, sir.
Mayor, what is the greatest threat that you see at this point? Is it the wind, the rain, or the storm surge?
Well, I would say flooding, which is a combination of water from surge, tide, and rain. In addition, the other extreme threat is the wind. And even though you've seen the track of the storm coming up the Florida coast, it's been off the coast just a bit. And the current projection is that the track of the storm could be even closer to the coast at Charleston than it has been alongside Florida. So wind is certainly an extreme factor as well. Yes, ma'am.
I asked this question the other day, but is there any update on when the Ravenel Bridge might be closed? You know, before, in previous storms, when there's been a lot of wind, that's been a concern. Do you have a time frame when you think it might shut down traffic, aside from the curfew?
Well, when winds attain a velocity around 40 miles an hour, we deem it unsafe for folks to be going across the bridges. And we would respectfully ask folks not to use them anymore. We're not planning to place personnel, stationed at the bridges to prevent folks from being able to use them, but we certainly advise folks over 40-mile-an-hour winds not to use the bridges.
Mayor,
With the door-to-door that has been happening, any luck in getting people to leave?
Any what?
Luck getting people to leave?
Yes, ma'am. We've gone door to door in some neighborhoods. We also targeted mobile home parks and advised that it was highly advisable for people to leave, and a number of folks have left. Those few remaining, we've requested that they give us next of kin information, just in case. Well, thank you very much for, oh, yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. Realizing, of course, that property is not as important as people's lives and health, what efforts have been made to protect Charleston's historic buildings?
Well, we certainly went to great efforts to protect our own buildings. The city of Charleston did, and we encouraged our other citizens and organizations to do the same, and many have responded. If you drive around downtown historic area, you'll see many buildings that have been protected.
Also, are there any penalties for people doing stupid stuff, like driving through flooded areas with pulling a rope with a skid board? You know, somebody surfing through floodwaters, I'm talking about maybe tomorrow.
Only as it applies if it were against some city ordinance to start with.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I saw that ordinance that said you can't go down flooded streets, so.
We have the ability to shut down any flooded streets in the name of public safety. Yes, ma'am. Any other questions? Well, thank you again for helping us get the word out to our citizens about this storm, and it's great working with you. Thank you very much.